I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Monday. You've got Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Thank you for joining us. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973, or you can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions, reactions, all of that welcome there. We're also streaming live on Fox 34 News Now and on YouTube. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Porman behind the glass, taking care of us. Gus?
Benny P.
How are you?
Benny P.
Benny P. Is that what we're going with?
I don't know.
I like it.
I do too. There's got to be something.
Do you have any official nicknames that we've never, we haven't learned about? Pre-existing ones?
No, not really. I enjoy John Ben Jovi, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's.
Even though you've never seen me with long hair before.
Well, but you've shown the the driver's license, right?
My student ID from.
That's
Tech.
what it was. That's what it was.
Nice.
Yeah, you had the John Ben Jovi look going. A very productive weekend for Texas Tech softball, for Red Raider baseball. Great win for Red Raider basketball.
Mm-hmm.
There was another team that played for Senior Day. Probably won't cover much of that today. But, hey, overall, pretty much aces for the weekend, huh?
Yes, indeed. Good day at the good 3 days at the ballpark. Really, both ballparks. I think the one little hiccup in softball was when
4-1
you and
weekend.
I were watching on Friday. I guess. But yeah.
It was our fault. We were the jinxes.
Yeah, they were. Just scurrying off to conference play now and baseball, and about to head into the last week of the regular season and men's hoops. Women headed off the Big 12 tournament. I mean, it is time.
How much?
Last week of school before spring break around here.
Yeah. Busy time. How much? Of course, you have New Mexico tomorrow, which you are T-minus an hour and a half from hitting the road, and then I assume you're just calling in on the Visual Edge IT hotline for the next hour and a half.
Just get ready. Yeah, we'll get me and Jamie.
But
in fact, you should just leave. We'll just call in and talk to Ben.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll just make myself a little nap area in the bullpen back there.
How will that be any different than like right now?
I'm closer to my computer, my desktop, and
nice.
my Patrick Mahomes figurine, and my Alex Gordon, signature.
Yeah, nice
Autograph and
some stash Sour Patch.
Some stash Sour Patch Kids, absolutely. This on the chat line: did someone just fall off a chair or kill a bug? I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. This
was there some concern that somebody fell off a chair?
Maybe we made a noise. Sometimes we make noises when we're first settling in. Choice's microphone was trying to blow up during the bottom line for a segment, so who knows what'll happen. This from Steven. First baseball game for me Saturday. I think I know how I'll be spending my weekends this spring. Also, cool meeting you on Saturday, Dr. Mike.
Well, thank you. Yeah, very nice to be met. Very nice to meet you. It was fun week. I mean, 11,000 plus there for 3 days. It might have been just short of 12,000. Just really, of course, really nice weather.
That paired up pretty nicely.
Yeah, that drives a ton of that kind of attendance. But very much of a compelling product, and we're going to be down in the 50s this coming weekend. But
I was going to ask,
a very compelling opponent with the start of Big 12 play. So
I hadn't looked at the weather for this weekend, but I was guessing the weather driving, although usually does play a factor in it. I think the Texas factor will outweigh any sort of if they're playing, though, there will be people there.
It's not going to be miserable.
It's like the Field of Dreams.
Like
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, Friday night will be chilly because the high that day I guess is 50 in the 50s. So that evening it'll be, that evening it'll be. But it's nothing we hadn't sat through for a football game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
58 and sun, 58 and partly cloudy on Saturday, and then sunny, 68 and sunny. So we've been really, I would say really fortunate with the weather lately. So like we've had 2 good weeks of 70s.
You're not supposed to point that out because you can scare it away, right?
Well, I guarantee you I'm scaring it away on Friday. But it looks like that following Tuesday, Wednesday when New Mexico State's here, 77 and 80. So that's good. Yeah.
Speaking of Texas, they did not have as good of a weekend. And I think they have A&M at home before
coming up
they see you here this weekend. So
they last week at home threw 3 shutouts in a row. And I told you, I said, I'm not sure what Cal Poly is. And I think we may have just got our indication. But, to not score a run in 27 innings was a lot. And then they ended up getting beat. Texas did, I guess, 3 times and walked off by Texas State on Saturday. They were losing. LeBaron Johnson, they're Friday night guys for real. He threw against us last year in relief and shoved for 3-4 innings. He was really good. Downhill, sink, all the things, and so I think he was losing. I think they were losing 2-0 in the 7th when I got in the car and checked it, and I gave up a solo home run and then another base runner, I think, or something else, and then a 3-run jack, and then it was 6-0 in the 8th. I guess they lost that one like 7-3 against LSU. But then losing the next day to Texas State, and then giving up an 11-3, I think, lead to Vanderbilt on Sunday. So they're it's probably a little bit of a low ebb for them, but none of that matters. If they come back and get A&M or get square in the middle of A&M, or this coming up week is the week just between us and A&M where they've had that thing circled, even though we're not a rival and we don't matter and they're leaving us and all the things. But this week was circled on their schedule, and as I'm sure it has been for us, because it's the start of Big 12 play for everybody.
I think the baseball dynamic of conference expansion when it comes to a schedule is incredibly interesting, right? Because like for Texas, as much as you're talking about, you got Texas, coming up here in just a couple weeks. We're saying the same thing. Man, we got to go to Lubbock here as soon as we start Big 12 play.
I told you that I would look up like the 08, 09 schedules to, once they got the standardized start date. We can touch on that later, but
perfect.
We've been here before.
Glad you did your homework.
Sure.
I don't know if I did any.
Always.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is the juice. You've got Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3, DoubleT97.3.com. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Porman behind the glass, taking care of us. You can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Already several thoughts and comments from the weekend on there. We will get to those here in just a moment. First, rattle off through some headlines of what happened through the weekend. We'll start with the bad and then we'll go to the good. How about that? End on a positive note. Lady Raider basketball in their regular season finale fell to Kansas State on Senior Day, 73-49. This was a 36-17 score at the half. Offensive struggles for the Lady Raiders as they shot 20% nearabouts there in the first half. I believe only they hit 5 shots, 4 of those were threes. So it was a rough one there, and it has been a rough stretch. They will go into the Big 12 tournament. They'll play on Thursday, 5 o'clock start, 107.7 Yes FM, and 100.7 The Score. They'll start out with Houston, so an opponent they know they can beat, but I'd like to see them get a little success there, but we'll see what happens. Again, that'll be on Thursday. Texas Tech softball, they went 4-1 Gus, as you mentioned, the one that they dropped was against UTEP, and it just happened to be the one that we were getting to watch the most of. So you can blame us. They did take down Merrimack twice, and then New Mexico State twice. One of those, the last one, 9-1 in 5 innings on Sunday is how they ended it. They will go to BYU, so they'll get a newbie up first in conference play. This will be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Get used to those with the BYU on the field. Thursday's first pitch, 7 o'clock at Miller Park in Provo, Utah. So they've had a terrific start to the season. 17-4 overall so far, but here we go, Big 12 play.
It begins in earnest.
Red Raider baseball, 6-0 in this opening homestand, 3-0 against Gardner Webb. The highest total was on Saturday, 29-3. They won on Friday, 10-7, and then yesterday ended the series with a 9-5 win. Gardner Webb, I would say, a much better looking opponent, and well, maybe not much better, but a better looking opponent than what Texas Southern was. But man, that Saturday contest, there were some. If you were I don't know who the Gardner Webb coach is, he's probably pulling his hair out on some of the drops and stuff like that. Just frustrating. But the offense certainly there, and a good start at home for Raider baseball. They won't be at home tomorrow though. You and Jamie will be over in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, and that's another one that gets circled when we go over there. The Lobos, I mean, and that's really been true of all sports. Go over there and play football, basketball. They circle it and they get after it, and they want that win, and they want to get under your skin and all the things.
Hopefully you're under their skin for a lot of runs. Yeah. 81-70 was the final for Red Raider basketball against West Virginia. And the shooting struggles at first, Gus, appeared like they were going to continue. 0-5 to start this game from outside. And then Darian Williams finally broke the ice, and then the ice just completely melted. 13 three-pointers hit. Chance McMillan had 5 of those. He was 5 of 11 from outside for 19 points. But to me, man, maybe the story of the day, returning to Morgantown, one Joe Toussaint gave you an incredibly tough, incredibly needed performance. 9 of 17 from the field, 21 points. And in the first half, it was 45-39. You outscored them in the second half, 42-25. And they were, where you were finally hitting outside shots, they were doing some of that in their own respect, and that's not something that they've been great at. And you took some of that away there in the second half. But as far as the much-needed win department, check. And I think, hey, lock yourself in the tournament, check.
When you avoid, you get to guarantee 500, and you get to avoid a bad road loss or a bad loss. And you're kind of staring at that same equation again here with Oklahoma State. You just can't lose to these dudes with their RPI hanging down, or their net ranking hanging in the 120s or whatever it is. But
that's baseball mode talking.
Yeah.
And then finally on 100.7, the score is 6 o'clock tonight. It's the High School Fan Zone with Garrett Luft, coaches from Coronado, Estacado, Lubbock High, and Monterey. That is the Juice. We got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Shelly said there was a very loud slapping sound, so we must have slapped the table without realizing it. Maybe I was just so happy to see the fresh box of Sour Patch Kids that I have already opened.
Just delighted. Yeah.
True joy. Bullfighter says, dang, I tried to meet Gus, and he gave me the suck it, Steve treatment.
Stop.
Shrugging off the adoring fans.
Yeah. Can't even. You got to footnote that a little bit better.
We got this on the chat line. This is interesting. Will someone address the elephant in the room that it was not Johnny Cash singing Ring of Fire at the Law this weekend?
No, I agree. They're playing a different version this year for whatever reason.
Was this a mystery or just genuinely curious? Or is it just, or is this just, it's been silent and this is finally the first person to come up and
I don't know. I just noticed that, because they've, that's what the second pitch and change, I guess. That gets that. And of course, we've had some runs scored over the last couple of weeks, and so we've heard it a few times. And I remember hearing that and going, "Hey, it's not Johnny Cash," but whoever version it is fine, but it's not Johnny Cash. So, but yeah, I noticed it. Couldn't tell you who it is.
So now you have more homework.
No, somebody else can grab their dang phone and Shazam it if you're that concerned about it.
It was a quick
Tell you what,
no.
it's a good homework job for any of the 4,432 fans that are concerned by this. You Shazam it. You send it to us. There you go. How about that? I think I've got enough to do.
Yeah. Okay.
In that exact moment. Yeah. And you know what? Hopefully we get 3 playings of that. Because that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it means you're running through their bullpen like crap through a tin horn.
There was true rage behind that. It was calm.
No, it was just me pushing back.
You could tell the storm.
I don't need anyone handing me any homework assignments.
Gus the Hurricane was about to just rip through the First United Bank studios, tear this place to shreds.
Stop.
He will not do your homework. This on the Yates
I appreciate
Flooring.
the follow-up interrogation, but yeah, it's not gonna. I'll let one of y'all figure it out. One of y'all can tell us.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. This is a question that has been popping up a lot.
Let's hear it.
Is Bazell out for the weekend?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's healthy, but still in a protocol.
Well, the he's healthy part's good.
Yeah, that's why he was in the dugout, but he can't play. And not COVID, no mental anguish, he's getting over an illness, I would call it significant illness, the kind of illness.
I think Red Raider fans of all
downtime.
Sports are sick and tired. No pun.
Yeah, I agree.
No pun intended.
This
sick and tired of hearing illness.
No, I agree. This isn't even a. Well, whatever. But yeah, he. I don't know how much longer, maybe another week or so, but definitely not playing against Texas. That's my understanding, and but he'll be there, and that's the tough part because Tim talked about him feeling good this past weekend, but it's just the and there's no disciplinary, there's all the things. It's just, what is it, HIPAA, that you can't talk about like the specifics of a medical deal, and that's what this is. But it's
but you get the
he's in a protocol and he's in a timeline.
I like to use the tinfoil hat theories. They'll start to happen though, right? If you don't have anything concrete. Sure. You'll find something.
That's why Tim was kind of running through it yesterday in media, like ruling stuff out. Mm-hmm. It's not disciplinary. It's not this. It's not COVID. It's not, like you can, whatever. But
right.
yeah, he's
mysteries.
He's okay.
Some mysteries.
He's okay, but he's just got to wait out another however long, week, 2 weeks, whatever.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3, DoubleT97.3.com, a Monday edition. Hopefully your Monday has not been too Monday-esque. If you're a fan of Red Raider basketball, Red Raider baseball, Texas Tech softball, probably hard to roll into the Monday too disappointed, but that's sometimes what work is for us, to prove you wrong. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Poorman behind the glass taking care of us. All right, went through it as a headline, went through it as just general intro level discussion. Gus, we'll start with you. What was your highlight of the weekend for Red Raider sports?
I'd probably go with that hoops win, just because of where they had been recently, how much they needed it, the fact that it was a road game. There was enough to be nervous about with West Virginia. Big man's back. We're getting the news. Lindsey, apparently he's separated from the team, whatever.
Just an odd month with
whatever.
Yeah,
that's a big old fat whatever right there.
Sure.
And then the no Warren again, so that was kind of all the build up to it, and thinking, man, just because it does create matchup problems and different things. But what have we said when that team needs to shoot it well? Because they're going to have
And they, and you've been waiting. It felt like because we kept on doing the waiting game. At some point this is going to break. At some point, they will look like the Texas Tech that they did in January and in December, where even if one person was having an off shooting night, there was enough coverage dispersed throughout the roster that you weren't a bad shooting team, but in February, boy, you were a bad shooting team.
Right.
And I think when you finally get, you said, that ice broken in this one, it was important because they were shooting it well uncharacteristically. And they were hitting threes at a rate that they just flat have not as a team all season long, and specifically in conference play. You add into that, the guy that we were worried about whenever we were breaking down this game, Jesse Edwards, he still got his. I mean, got 18 points, really efficient from the floor. And so when it got to that, it needed to be, offensively, you need to be more productive, and you finally got that on a road, in a road environment that hasn't always been kind to you, isn't kind to anyone. I don't care if it's a bad West Virginia team, a good West Virginia team. It's just not easy to go into Morgantown and win. And the fact that you got a little bit more of yourself back in that environment, I think, is even more impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Or hopefully you got it back. Hopefully it wasn't just a, oh, yeah, that's right, we remember. And then, against Oklahoma State, it looks like it did, against UCF or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, and it feels like, one thing we are is a good shooting team. And, I think that's, that's been a way that they've been identified. They're not a great rebounding team, and I'm really saying things that the coaches have said, that Coach McCaslin has talked about.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job of getting to the line, and they're a good free throw shooting group, especially those guards that get fouled a bunch. They can create a problem down the stretch when they're, when teams start trying to foul and use the free throw line to control clock. They can be tough to play against. But they when they haven't had great shooting days, especially post Warren Washington, they feel sort of limited.
Mm-hmm.
And Dessou exposed us in the post, and last Tuesday, and away we went. And so I don't want to say there's only a certain tiny little pathway that they have to tiptoe down to win games, because I don't think that's the case. But it does feel like they're not a team that's going to have great matchups all the way along.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not going to be able to play every style of basketball and control it. They need to have some things go their way. Which, all of this to say, I think it's been a fabulous coaching job by McCaslin and just those guys, and creating the the room and the willingness to hang in there and stay together. And Toussaint's probably at the front of that list too. It feels like he adds some senior level stuff and some toughness. Even
he went in there with some chutzpah, and played that way.
And of course, he was playing against his guys, but just against his former team. But just the just the fifth-year senior, like he's been the man in the room a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And even when he's not scoring, he's not a little pouty, whatever. Like, he's still been willing to lead. And I commend him, and I can't wait to see Coach McCaslin coach next year with more portal additions and just a deeper roster. Like eight dudes, 8, 9, 10 dudes. That can play. And because they've got clarity right now, probably on a minimum of 3 openings, and that's not even counting Steffi that left, and
right,
and
the extra math you have to do there.
And then you can, maybe we're flicking Lindsay, but I'm just saying right now
that situation is.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Whatever. But at this point, it feels like they're. The first thing they'll do is probably try to secure what they need to secure off of this roster, and what they want to secure off this roster. But there could be, I don't know, I wouldn't be one bit surprised if there's 5, 6 new faces on this team next year. And how many of those are high school dudes? I don't know, but we didn't sign anybody early, so it feels like this will be constructed via the portal. I know they've had visits in at various games along this year, but I think those were younger high school players, that, and so them putting together a roster and us sitting here in April sifting through the rumors, it could be fun again. But I bet you they're going through and looking for, bigger dudes and longer dudes. I'm not saying they're all looking for 7-footers, but I bet you they'd love to have some 6'7" and 6'8" in there, like 3 or 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, I think something you touched on with how they beat West Virginia, and it was when you were talking about Joe Toussaint, was where kind of my highlight of the weekend is. Because you talked about the Texas game, and to me it felt like you had a little bit of this, dipped into just that kind of slump. And again, I'm hoping it's just something that, is a behind you type of slump. When you lost to Texas, it felt like you had a lot of guys, especially in that first half, waiting for someone else to go make a play. And that's not how I've viewed this team. I viewed this team like, hey, Pop can go make a play.
Right.
Joe Toussaint can go make a play.
Kerwin can hit a shot.
Kerwin can hit, and we've seen Kerwin drive. Kerwin can go make a play. Darian Williams can go make a play. Chance McMillan, all of these guys can go make a play. All of that to say when you're playing without, Warren Washington, or if he's in the lineup too. Either way. And you didn't see that against Texas. And I think my highlight for the weekend is one that you won against West Virginia, but the bounce back from that, especially when the offense wasn't clicking in the first 10 minutes, that felt like that was addressed and felt completely different. And I think with Joe Toussaint, maybe it was he was a little extra juiced because he was back in Morgantown, but that's not the first time we've seen him have that sort of mindset. It's just he's tried to had the battle of balancing some of the good and the bad, and playing at a more steady level, and it was far more than steady on Saturday. But I think you also got great play out of Yalaho. That he had a very promising performance again.
Doesn't it feel like when you watch him play, you're like, those dudes, like I would have said this about Chiron too, but like those dudes are kind of playing for next year's roster in the sense that, not that their contributions aren't important now with Warren Washington hurt, but hey, do you want that guy to move on and go somewhere else where he can play, or do you want him to stay here and be a little more developmental? And you go, he's kind of a bigger guy. Like, I think I want him here. I mean, that's just me talking. I think I want him and Jennings here to be, a year older next year. And and that's just me saying that.
No, I agree with you completely. With Yalaho, I think you can see some of the ball skills that come with him too.
He can shoot.
You still need to find more size, clearly. I think you can feel the excitement rising for Yalaho. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Monday. It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3, DoubleT97.3.com. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Poorman behind the glass taking care of us. The High School Fan Zone is tonight over on 100.7 The Score, 6 o'clock start for them. LISD all the way through, hour and a half long program with Garrett Luft here in the First United Bank studio. Some NFL news came out about 30 minutes ago. That is that the Broncos have notified one quarterback, Russell Wilson, that he will be released after the league year begins March 13th. The Broncos will take on an $85 million in dead money charges against the salary cap over the next 2 seasons. That relationship didn't work out from either side.
No, it really didn't. A little bit of a surprise there too, but because I would have guessed that Sean Payton might, clean up some things, and it really does make you think what Russell Wilson's days may be numbered.
Well, it felt like you brought in a guy that you were banking on being what Russell Wilson was when he was at his peak in Seattle, and then you also have the pairing with Sean Payton, getting him back in the coaching game, and these great minds sort of thing are going to have fireworks, and it felt like after things were sour the first year, this entire time just felt like they were instead of trying to find ways to make him better, it just felt like they fought the entire time. And on the other side, we're just like, hey, will you leave? Will you can you quit? Can you do that? Is that something you can do? And they just were rough and rigid all year with that relationship. So that has been a bumpy ride. And now we'll see what the Broncos do with the quarterback spot in one Patrick Mahomes division.
Yeah, you'd think that the draft is going to be key, but I don't know. Over the next little stretch here, we may have some more of these type releases and things like that, and maybe there's some NFL veterans, sort of mid-level NFL veterans that could be signed that could be stopgaps to bring along a young quarterback, or they trade up. Who knows? But yeah, they've Sean Payton's got some track record. He's a pretty good coach.
I wonder what the time frame of their expectation with him though is success-wise, because you would think with, I guess to me, when you were bringing him in like a sought-after coaching mind and things like that, Super Bowl champion, a lot of great years, of course, with the Saints, that you're expecting a fairly quick turnaround, and it hasn't been that at all. So is it like 2 years after this? I'm curious what it is if they don't find success, and what does that success need to be? Like, is it, hey, in 2 years just get into the playoffs, because you've got a pretty big obstacle to get around in the division, and that's not counting whatever the Chargers are, and if the Raiders play like they did towards the end of the season, like that's not an easy place to do that with. So it's just not easy in the NFL in general, but I'm curious like what their leash is for Sean Payton for him to quote unquote turn it around.
Yeah, I agree.
This on the chat line, is Lindsey gone?
I don't know. I would think that he wasn't on, and I don't know how that went. Don't know, don't need to know, but if Lindsey opted out of going, like, hey, I'm good, or if there was something in practice or whatever, you would think at this point in the season, yeah, we're good.
The only thing that was like, if you want to call it firmly released, was that he did not make the trip.
Right.
He was not in Morgantown.
And if that's his way, pouting after getting 2 whole minutes and recording 2 personal fouls in the game against Texas, and maybe pouting about it. But I remember him getting the foul, and it was, I think he headed into a media timeout or somebody called one or whatever, and him coming over to the huddle, and it was just like, yeah, go down there and kind of done. And so just again, when we talk about, you talk about a Yalaho and Jennings, and you put those two up against Lindsey, and you think about Lindsey's a third year collegiate.
I mean, yeah, because over at Georgia was logging serious minutes, and when Cambridge went down, the question was, and of course that's not being in the inner circle of what that decision was going to be.
Right.
It was odd.
Why don't they play Lindsey more?
Yeah, you burn the red shirt, right? And you were thinking, oh man, so this is Lindsey's time,
right? And
then for whatever reason, could not keep himself on the court or make his way onto the court at times. And then even when Warren Washington, then when he gets sick and is out the first time, and you're going, oh, okay, there's Lindsey.
Minutes are handed.
Lindsey's going, yeah, like
minutes.
The opportunity ended up being there.
On a silver platter at that point to get more playing time, and just couldn't deliver.
And on one hand, you saw immediately, to me, like, okay, this is why he wasn't getting minutes even before Cambridge, or even after Cambridge went down. Like this, he just was not ready. Defensively, that isn't there. You can see the athletic upside, and had a couple of games where he showed you something. And you're like, okay, so this is you go back to, this is why you were excited, why he was coming over here, and why he was brought over in the first place. And again, we're not saying he's done, kicked off, anything like that, or if he quit or whatever. We just know that he wasn't there. But I just think his entire year has been interesting in the factor of all of us just kind of going, okay, now's Lindsey's time.
Right.
And I feel like we've said that 3 times this year.
And he flicked, and he flashed against TCU in a way that you thought, okay, here we go.
In a time that you were needing, you need someone to consistently do that. And Jennings will always have or at least this year will have the first crack at it if Washington's out. And then, like I said, Yalaho over the past 2 or 3 games has really shown. I thought before you started getting really, really kicked around by Texas, he was like the lone bright spot of, okay, because they were kind of hanging around 10 points or so, and then he made a couple of plays, had a nice roll to the basket, drew a foul, don't think made the free throw, but was showing you some things, and then hit couple threes late that was just like, right, against UCF. I didn't know he could do that.
That was in there.
And
then I agree.
And then this last time out gave you a lot of really good minutes that you needed against West Virginia. So it seems like every game he's kind of shown you something different. Again, raw, young, but you were talking of the who do you want to keep? Because I think it's a fair question because the in and out goes both ways from the player deciding that to the coaches being really probably not going to play here,
right,
sort of thing. I think Yalaho has really, really shown you some things over the past couple of games. You're going, okay, the ceiling, he's nowhere near it.
Right. Doesn't feel that way, and that's an awful young dude, big-bodied kid. Feels like he and Jennings would be nice compliments to a couple other big dudes that would do the Warren Washington thing, but maybe like 2 or 3 of them, But yeah, I agree. Because if they hang on to all these guards, it's a size that they would want to put with that, I would think.
Gus, you have to be chauffeured by Jamie, I assume, just sleeping in the back. You got a road trip.
Yep.
Be safe.
Go
and
get 'em. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Be back in here on Wednesday, Lord willing.
Yeah. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Get your questions in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. It is Ask Tech Talk, brought to you by Visual Edge IT.
I thought we were having a competition over here.
We look like
You're such a child.
Like cavemen just trying to break open an almond or something. Something else in a shell. A walnut, perhaps?
All right, my first question to you. What is the best nut? I'm serious. What?
Why would you ask it like that?
It was somewhere along the lines of what is the best bear,
Pistachios.
Okay.
I'm a massive I hate the price of pistachios, but I'm a big fan.
Have you been out to
what is the best nut?
What city is that?
Wild question.
That has the pistachio
Nutville
farm.
Oh.
Down south. Alamogordo, I guess. I can't remember if they have
I don't know
the nuts there. But it's I'm a big pistachio fan. And that you need to go there. I think it's Alamogordo. Someone help me out from eastern New Mexico. Southern. That's a good answer.
Tell Gus and Jamie to swing by. Pick us up some.
I think if they were going to Las Cruces, that would be a fair trip.
I can't remember where that is.
No, that's further south.
You're just going into Mexico. Just
Towards
stop
Roswell.
and get the pistachios.
Yeah, it's towards Ruidoso.
But don't make us pay.
That's a good pick. It'd probably be top 3 for me. I may go cashew.
Cashew's up there as well. I really like. Okay, so the holiday,
which is also
the holiday nut bag that comes out. With the
it's a nut bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
with what? I don't.
It's just like Christmas time. They have the classic mix, and they have that's what you get the actual old school clackers for.
Oh yeah.
There's one in there. I think it's a Brazil nut.
A That's what it's called. Brazil
a Brazil nut.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic. It's hard not to say pecans, though.
Well, when you say it wrong like that.
I usually say pecans, but I stressed the P to the can.
It is Alamogordo. That's right.
The giant pistachio.
Yeah, but they've got like a pistachio farm there. You need to go. Yeah.
Do you get them for free?
I don't think so, but they got a shop that has all sorts of flavored pistachios, and it's legit.
Wife
some hot ones
for Christmas got this little gift bag from one of her coworkers, and inside of it, maybe it was from this place because I know it was from New Mexico somewhere. Like a red chili flavored pistachio. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, get after it.
Yeah. How about this on the Ace Flame Center chat line for Aztec Talk? A real question.
A real one.
With Tech starting Big 12 play in baseball this week, what is the conference record expectation?
So you get 30 games now, I think. Isn't that right? Because 10 conference series, 3 times. Yeah, Math is hard. Oh, man. So 2 extra series compared to normal. I mean, normally you've had 18 or 19 games win it, but now I think Texas Tech finishes 20-10. That's what I'll say. And that's probably good enough for second or third place in the league. Is that overly ambitious?
No, because that's about...
It's an average of 1 loss per series.
I was going to say 2/3 without knowing what the number of games was, so that is legitimately right where I was at now that I know the...
You got a road trip to TCU that's going to be really tough. You go to Oklahoma State, which largely has been a successful location for Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your 2 toughest road trips. I don't like that you get Texas up front here because that's the other toughest series you play.
Although on the other side, they're probably not playing their best baseball either.
Well, I don't know if you're going to get a fired-up version of Texas after playing terrible last weekend, or
do you get a limping little tiny Tim?
Yeah. And what stinks is not that students make a huge difference in baseball. It's not. Yeah. It's not usually. But your students, a lot of them are going to be off for spring break, heading out, because spring break is basically a week earlier than we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm a little frustrated with the location of this series, the date of this series. But all in all, yeah, I think 20-10 is I think a fair expectation. You win 2 out of every 3.
Because it feels like in their drop series, sweep, a series sort of thing, making up for it.
You'll lose a game or 2 that you shouldn't. You'll sweep a couple of series. Yeah,
that feels about right. Okay, agreed. Good job. This from Lucas. Brazil nut is a filler nut. Least enticing thing in any nut mix. Wow. I like them. I like the whole
I don't
shebang,
know that I've
though.
ever eaten it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good.
The Brazil nut. I don't know that I've eaten it.
It's a tame nut flavor. Yeah. I'm not hating on the hazelnuts and walnuts and stuff that are around them, but...
All this nut talk, I'm going to let you hang.
It's a Monday. Started to go into Super Mario there. It's a Monday.
You did start.
Sooner in Lubbock said the green chili pistachios were good. How about this? I live in Austin. They are hating on their baseball team big time today, complaining about their pitching, but their team ERA is almost a point better than Tech. Where else are they struggling? I think this is more just because, as you mentioned, the real competition, the ERA was horrendous.
They complain about their pitching because Texas is notorious for having the best pitching in the conference, best starting pitching in the conference. That's what we're used to. Didn't they come off of a series the previous weekend where they didn't give up a run?
Right.
So, I get the competition's difference against Cal Poly and Vanderbilt and LSU and Texas State. While Texas State's not just the greatest thing on earth.
Well, it's still
That's
right at
still a quality
70
baseball team, and
RPI, and
they've beaten Texas, I think, the last 2 years. That's a solid team. Now, the pitching, yeah, there may be some concerns there for Texas, and that's where I'm hopeful. Can Tech keep up with their pitching? I don't know. Kyle Robinson's been solid. Mac Hewer was really good in his one start. But you still, I don't know about Jack Washburn at this point. Jack Washburn seems like he's running out of juice after the first couple of innings, first 3 or 4 innings of his starts, and he hadn't made it to the 5th inning yet. So I want badly for him to be able to get that stamina and be able to get through. But Washburn, this is another reason I wish you had another team besides Texas. If you opened with like Kansas at home, that would be great to start.
I think you mean Baylor. Pick a
true
true bottom.
Okay, Baylor is more the bottom feeder.
Or a Houston or any Cincinnati.
I don't know that Houston's that bad. They've lost a lot of close games.
Because it's more
so far.
predictive.
Yeah. Kansas actually was sub 500 before this weekend.
They got Texas Southern.
They got Texas Southern.
Beat them 4 times.
Yeah.
That's their College World Series 4-game series against Texas Southern.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.